speaker panels, discussions on topics such as quantifying the experiential realm scientifically, and modern approaches in studying UAPs. A special event called Deep Government Secrets Exposed will be held on July 19th. This session will dive into alleged government knowledge and concealment of UFO-related information. For more details and registration, visit the official symposium website. So again, that's Hidden Truths. Now, let's move on into the show, shall we? We've got some trivia coming up. All right, grab your EMF meters and your reading glasses because it's time for this week's round of paranormal trivia, where facts get freaky and your brain better be as sharp as your sage bundle. We're diving into haunted roads in India, cutting-edge UFO case tech, skinwalker science, and a Hollywood twist at this year's MUFON Symposium. And just when you think you've got it all figured out, we're tossing in a little pareidolia and a whole lot of lost and family darkness. Think you can spot the spirit and the static? Or remember who didn't make it home for Christmas back in 1929? Let's find out who's got ghost game and who's about to be haunted by their own wrong answers. All right, here are tonight's trivia questions. Take a screenshot of them. There are 2 screens of them. So, number 1, what eerie objects did a delivery boy reportedly encounter on Jail Road in Shamla, India, contributing to the area's haunted reputation? What is the title of the season 6 premiere episode of The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch that aired June 3rd, 2025? What is one key feature of Arrow's new case management system for handling UAP reports? Who is delivering the keynote address at the 2025 MUFON Symposium, and what is the title of the presentation? What is the phenomenon where humans perceive familiar patterns, like faces or words, in random noise called? What percentage of orb photos are believed to be caused by dust, bugs, or camera artifacts? What unusual thing did Charlie Lawson do shortly before murdering his family? Which family member was not at the house during the murders and survived? What is Savage's favorite paranormal area? And last, what is one thing you probably didn't know about Savage? I'll be sharing these answers later in the show, so stay tuned, stay curious, and maybe throw a little salt over your shoulder, just in case. Now, buckle up because things are only going to get weirder from here. All right, Night Crew, we're off to a strong start. We've covered chilling news from Shimla's haunted streets, the secrets stirring on Skinwalker Ranch, and even dug into the latest UAP developments straight from Arrow and MUFON. And if you've been keeping up with paranormal trivia tonight, you already know it's not for the faint of the spirit. Be sure to fave my gifters and my guests tonight, and don't forget to show love to everyone fueling the energy in here tonight. You keep the vibes high and the shadows curious. If you've got a spooky story to share, want to ask a guest question, or think you've got what it takes to join me live, message me or Lux, who you'll find in the comments on Instagram, and let's talk. Also, mark it down now. July 7th is our Paranormal Investigators Roundtable. The top 10 viewer-submitted questions will be featured live, so get yours in now. Message them to me on IG. Now, grab your salt, center your energy, because we're just getting started. All right. Hexed or hyped, how to break a Native American curse and what you really need to know. All right, investigators, this next segment comes straight from my guest, Savage. She asked something powerful, personal, and honestly, pretty misunderstood. She wanted to know, how do you remove a Native American hex? It's a question loaded with mystery, fear, and a whole lot of misinformation. So tonight, we're not just answering it, we're diving deep into the history, the reality, and the spiritual steps you can take to protect yourself if you believe something's followed you home or has been sent your way. So, whether you're hexed, haunted, or just plain curious, light a candle, grab your obsidian, and let's talk about it. Not all curses come with bubbling cauldrons in ancient Latin. Some are quieter, older, whispered by wind over sacred ground, or carried by stories passed from elder to elder. Tonight, we're diving into a question that carries weight. Can you really be hexed by Native American spiritual practices? And if so, how do you break it? It's a topic charged with mystery, fear, and often misunderstanding. So whether you're facing strange happenings, feeling spiritually off, or just want to know the truth behind the legends, keep your salt close and your mind open, because this one is going deep. First, let's start up with the Hollywood horror from spiritual reality. Most Native American traditions don't deal in curses the way pop culture suggests. Across tribes, spiritual practice is deeply rooted in balance, healing, ancestral reverence, and natural law. While each tribe varies in belief and ritual, some common myths need to be addressed. Myth 1, all tribes believe in hexes. That's false. Many do not. The idea of a hex in the European sense, casting harm, isn't universal. Instead, some speak of spiritual consequences when harmony is disrupted. Myth 2, you can be cursed just by walking on sacred land. Not exactly. While disrespecting burial grounds or ceremonial sites can invite spiritual imbalance, it's not automatic punishment. Some tribes believe spirits will warn you, not curse you outright. Myth number 3, native curses are common in hauntings. This is a common horror trope, but real indigenous communities often view spirit encounters as ancestral messages, not malicious forces. That said, some traditions do speak of spiritual retaliation, protector spirits, or medicine people capable of sending energetic warnings. If a person has done harm, especially to sacred land, artifacts, or people, there may be consequences. So how do you know if it's a curse or just a string of bad luck? While most of what people experience can be explained by stress, coincidence, or environment, spiritual interference has a few hallmark signs. Those can be a sudden or persistent streak of misfortune, sleep paralysis or disturbing dreams, animals behaving strangely around you, intense emotional swings not tied to life events, objects moving or breaking without explanation, or a heavy or oppressive feeling in your home or around your body. But here's the key. It's not just what happens, it's how it feels. If something seems spiritually wrong, your intuition is usually the first alert. Let's talk about how to remove a curse or hex and shift it into empowerment, because fear doesn't fix anything. You can clear a hex, real or imagined, using time-honored methods rooted in respect and spiritual grounding. So, here are the steps to follow in removing a curse or a hex. Step 1, ground and center. You want to sit comfortably, focus on your breath. Visualize your feet rooting into the earth. Picture yourself surrounded by white light or ancestral guardians. Step 2, cleanse the body and the space. Use traditional cleansing herbs like white sage for purification, use respectfully, sweetgrass for blessing, cedar for protection, bathe in salt water with herbs like lavender or hyssop, and my 2 favorite pieces I like to cleanse with, dragon's blood and frankincense incense for a deep, energetic sweep. Step 3, speak the reversal out loud. What is mine, I release. What is sent, I return with no harm. I walk in truth, I stand in light, I am protected, and I am free. Repeat it with conviction. You set the boundary. Step 4, ward and seal. Place obsidian, turquoise, or smoky quartz at doorways or on your body. Hang mirrors facing outward near windows or doors to deflect energy. Use a circle of black salt or iron shavings if needed for added defense. Now, step 5, if things persist, reach out to either a trusted medium or shaman, an elder from the spiritual tradition you believe is involved, or a reputable energy worker trained in ancestral or trauma-based spirit clearing. Let's be very clear, don't play spiritual dress up. If you believe you've angered spirits tied to a specific tribe or culture, don't try to mimic their rituals unless invited or guided. Instead, approach with humility and ask for help respectfully. If you're non-native and feel drawn to native practices, support indigenous voices and educators. There are plenty of spiritual leaders willing to teach within context and with consent. Above all, don't fear the unknown. Fear blocks energy. Curiosity clears it. So here's a short ritual that you can use at home or share with someone who feels spiritually off. Light a white candle and say, as this flame burns, so does my clarity. Let no harm remain within or around me. Pass a stick of burning sage or incense around your body, especially over your head, heart, and feet. Sprinkle salt in a circle around you and say, "This circle is mine. No darkness may enter, no harm may stay. Only truth, only light, only peace." Blow out the candle and say, "It is done." Simple, powerful, effective. Spiritual harm isn't always about curses. It's often about the imbalance, fear, and the stories we carry. Whether you're facing something unexplainable or just feeling off, the path forward is about grounding, protection, and intention. If you've had an experience like this, or if you've ever felt something was spiritually weighing you down, I want to hear your story. DM me on Instagram and tell me what happened. Because when it comes to the unknown, the shadows may whisper, but you've got the power to answer back. Still with us, Ghost Chasers? Good, because the veil's only getting thinner from here. We've already explored eerie headlines and tested your paranormal prowess with trivia. But now it's time to bring in tonight's guest, the bold, the fearless, the one and only Savage. You've seen her energy, you felt her presence, and now she's stepping into the box to talk all things haunted, hexed, and hardcore. But first, let's show some love to the top 3 gifters lighting up the chat tonight. Coming in at number 3 is Mikey, and number 2 is Black Widow, and number 1 is Mikey and CJ. Thank you guys for the gifts. Thanks for being here. You guys make sure you fave them. Fave each other in the comments as well. Make sure you smash the favorite button and support the whole spooky crew here. You're the ones keeping this show beaming through the static. Want to be a future guest or have your own wild story to share live on air? Hit me up on IG or connect with Lugs in the comments and we'll make it happen. And don't forget, July 7th is our Paranormal Investigators Roundtable, where top experts weigh in on your biggest questions. Submissions are open now, and the top 10 will be featured live. All right, Savage, go ahead, request the box if you haven't already. Let's stir the pot. Let's see exactly what the shadows have to say tonight. And here we go. I'm so glad to have you on the show tonight. Thank you for being here. Hi. So from what I understand, you've got one foot in every corner of the paranormal realm. So before we dive into your recent experiences, take a moment, introduce yourself to the audience, let everyone know where they can catch your streams, what kind of content you're bringing to the screen, and if you've got any investigations or spooky events coming up.
So I'm Savage. I stream usually late nights, early mornings. My streams consist of everything. It could be a little bit toxic sometimes. It could be just people boxing up and just having a good time. It just varies. Most of the time we just have major conversations. Like that's the most part what we do is just have random conversations and go from there. I listen to a lot of music too on my stream. If I don't have people in my box, as soon as somebody gets in my box, I immediately turn it off because I feel like it's disruptive and shouldn't be, part of it. I don't have anything. Oh, I do have an auction coming up at the end of the month. And then other than that, I don't have much going on.
It's been kind of quiet. It's summertime. Like we're supposed to take a break, right?
Yeah. Well, and I have kids too, so.
You keep your hands full for sure. All right. So when I was prepping for tonight's episode, I asked you which of the 7 fields of the paranormal you were most drawn to. And it wasn't an easy one for you to pick. So why don't you tell everybody what your answer was and kind of maybe give us a peek into something most people don't know about you.
So I dabble in all realms of the supernatural. I feel like it's all like connected in a way. So it all like has to be in one. For me anyways, I don't know how other people feel, but so I dabble in all of it. Something that I used to do is a little bit of witchcraft and doing other things in the spiritual realm, such as tarot cards and things like that. I haven't done it in a very long time, honestly, but I would like to get back into doing it because it is something that I enjoy doing and it keeps me spiritually grounded.
The chat just cracks me up sometimes. Yeah, so I have to agree with you on that. And people that are in my chat, you guys know I love Skinwalker Ranch. And one of the things I love the most about it is the one place that, like you said, everything supernatural, everything unknown comes together, right? And I do believe each of these fields do touch each other. We talk about haunted locations. We talk about people using the occult tarot cards. We talk about I use the pendulum. We talk about some of these ancient mysteries. We talk about all of this kind of stuff, right? And it all blends together. And we're going to see a little bit of that tonight in the main segment of the show as well. We're going to see a little bit of that as well. So when I saw that about you, I was like, okay, I can't wait to get you on and chit chat with you, because everybody thinks I'm weird. So I've been into this 16 years now. I love using my pendulum. I started learning tarot cards last year, maybe the year before that. Maybe it's been about a year and a half. So I have a couple of different decks. I picked the ones that, called to me. I have studied Wiccan. I have done a lot of religious studies on stuff when it comes to the paranormal. So tell me your background. Like, how did you get started in it? What drew you to it? What's been your favorite part about it? You said that you haven't done it in a while. What did you do that you missed? Like, fill me on all of that.
So I got into the paranormal at a really young age, because I had personal experiences with hauntings, and one of our first home apartments that I lived in when I was little actually was haunted. So I pretty much, ever since I was maybe 5 or so, have been really aware of the supernatural. I won't use a Ouija board again. I do not recommend using a Ouija board. If you do, you need to properly close it out. And there is one and only way to properly close it out. But even if you close it out, sometimes it doesn't necessarily work, because I had a really scary experience when I was in high school about using a Ouija board. And we were trying to communicate with one of our friends who had passed, and finding out how they passed, because nobody would tell us. So we kind of wanted to figure it out, and we kind of figured that maybe the Ouija board would work. What is the main demon that starts with a Z? I can't remember what his name is, but he came through the board and started speaking to us. So it kind of freaked us out. And so we closed it out properly, and we got rid of the Ouija board. But somehow, some way, the Ouija board came back, not once, twice, but 3 times.
Oh, wow.
Every time we tried to get rid of it, we broke it at one point, we burned it on fire at one point, we also threw it around the trash blocks and blocks down the way. And somehow it still ended up under my ex's bed. And that's where we had originally had it before we started using it. So I have a lot of experiences with also dealing with the poltergeist at one point. In another apartment of mine when I was a little bit older, and an old lady and a little kid that housed the apartment with us. And so that was really interesting. Dealing with poltergeists ain't so fun, especially when they present themselves as something else prior to you finding out they're a poltergeist. They're very, very mischievous. So, and I've always, so I lived in Nebraska, that's where I'm originally from, and the cornfields out there are we've had ones where they thought that aliens were involved and things like that. Also been to New Mexico and kind of went to Area 51 as close as we could before they wanted to shoot us. So, because it's no joke. They are.
We laugh, but it's true, y'all. It's true.
Yeah,
they take guarding that place pretty seriously.
Very serious. So I've been also to Roswell, which has a lot of the alien kind of vibes, and how they've had a lot of sites from that. So I've been into pretty much every realm. I don't necessarily like certain dolls, but I've dealt with certain dolls as well. My best friend's mom actually has the whole doll room, so it kind of freaks me out sometimes.
No, I can't do dolls.
Yeah.
Nope. Can't do dolls and clowns.
There's certain ones I can, but others I can't. And it's funny for me, I can do the clowns when you were talking about the Lala. I can do evil clowns, but I can't do happy clowns because I was haunted, I swear to God, by a light that my mom put in my room. It was a plug-in light, and it was a freaking happy clown. And I swear to God, no matter where you were, those eyes followed you. No matter what you did, those eyes would constantly follow you. And I would not get up in the middle of the night to go potty because I'd be so scared to run past it. So one night I finally got the courage to pull it out of my wall, and I threw it away, and somehow it ended up in my room back in the wall the very next morning. And I asked my mom and my brother, and they denied it. So I had to delete that thing.
You got to go with the Ouija board. You got to go. No.
Yeah.
No, I went and visited when I was in Las Vegas, not last summer, but the summer before. I went out to Zach Baggins Paranormal Museum, right? And when you first come in, there's a whole area of dolls. I'm like, I don't want to be the last one in here. Can I I gotta get through. And then they have where you see some clowns as you go through. And, if you guys have not been, I'm going to ruin one thing for you. So close your ears if you don't want to, have it ruined for you. But they do have some people that are actually dressed up in there that kind of watch people as they go through to make sure that you're not doing things you're not supposed to do. And they do dress up as clowns and they do chase you. I can't say the word I want to say on here. This is why I scripted my show. But yeah, I was like walking through and I saw one of them turn. I was like, you touch me, one of us is leaving in an ambulance and it won't be me. And so he stood real still for a little bit. But no, two of my things that I cannot stand all in one experience. Nope. Mm-mm.
See, I had another, my friends learned about my clown issue. So when we went to the circus and we were like super close up to where they walk up to you, my friends literally ran down the stairs and told the clown to go the opposite direction. Otherwise he was going to get punched out because I would have literally punched him if he got any more close to me. And he literally did. He straight went to the other aisle and started going up. And I was like, no, you're seriously going to get hurt if you come to me. Like,
I will tell you, I would love to go and investigate the Clown Motel out in Nevada. I would love to.
My
but I can't get past the fear of the clowns.
And my son just recently brought that up to me. It's funny that you mentioned it. My youngest literally just brought me mentioned it last week, and he's like, "Mom, can you take me?" And I was like, "I can look into it, but I don't think I'm going to be the one taking you. You might be having somebody else take you, but not."
And the reason why it's haunted is because there's a cemetery nearby that they float back and forth. So no, thank you. No, thank you. I can watch it. I can watch Ghost Adventures go and do their investigation because I can pause it. I can fast forward. I can do whatever I need to do to get past it. But yeah, nope, not the clown. No Clown Motel for me. And my friend who owns the historic Jefferson Hotel out here in Texas, in West Texas, each room has a theme, and one of them's a doll room. And he's like, you should go and check out this room. I'm like, I hate you right now. Like, I literally shut the door. I hate you. There's one doll that greets you. She's standing right by the bed and greets you as soon as you come in the door. And then the rest are like all over the room. But this one doll, like, I just want to just drop kick her. Like, she's looking at me when I'm walking in. Like, no. And then there's another one that's got clowns in it. So I'm like, I will take the haunted room. You guys can keep the clowns and the dolls.
Yeah, exactly. I would rather take a haunted room to keep me away from the clowns for sure. Dolls I can kind of deal with, but there's still a little bit of issues with them. So I'll try to get through it as quickly as possible. If it's a clown one, you ain't getting me nowhere near because I'm gonna punch every single one in that room. They're all gonna die.
So here's a question for you. Since we all found out that Annabelle's really a Raggedy Ann doll, how many people remember owning a Raggedy Ann doll? Right? So here's the creepier thing about it. In the movies, they portrayed her by a porcelain doll, right? Mm-hmm. So I was born in Houston. We moved up to Dallas when I was about 10. And my mom bought me a gift on the way up here for my new room. And it was a porcelain doll. And I don't know what happened to the doll. I remember thinking the doll was creepy. And now after all of this stuff and getting into the paranormal, I'm like, you know what? I'm so glad I had Barbies, but I didn't have dolls. And I didn't have clown dolls. I had one Raggedy Ann doll. I barely remember having it. And I still have to ask my mom what happened to this porcelain doll. Because I'm like, my daughter was never into dolls.
I don't like dolls or clowns, but back in the day, they used to make masks that were different, that had different faces, and they were made out of, I believe, clay, or some of them were made out of porcelain. And because I had a bunch of them when I was a kid, and those I absolutely loved. I felt so safe with those masks. It was insane. But I don't know what happened to all mine either. They all of a sudden just disappeared one day. I think my mom got rid of them. I think my mom got rid of them.
Threw away some of my stuff and didn't ask me if it was okay.
Yeah, because I was mad when I found out. Some of them did break on a couple of them because they did fall from the wall eventually because I had some of them for so long. But no, they weren't Halloween masks. So they were like little masks like this size or so.
They're kind of like white faces, aren't they?
Yeah, and then they paint them with different things on them. And I had a couple that looked like clowns, but I wasn't bothered by them. I felt more safe with them than I ever
because
did around
it's a mask, right? It's not this small being. Like I talked about dolls when Queen Lala was on my show. We talked about dolls because I was like, okay, let's talk about, you don't like dolls, I don't like dolls. So let's just face our fear head on for the show. And then we're going to We're gonna leave it there. We're not gonna talk about it again. I hate dolls, y'all. Don't ever send me a doll. If you send me a doll, just make sure it's a Kraken. Okay, I can I can deal with that. Just don't send me a doll. Let's just no, it's crazy. So why did you kind of start getting out of things? Like it sounded like you've kind of stayed in, but you haven't been as active as you normally had been.
Yeah, so I ended up moving and I ended up losing my tarot cards, and none of them that every time I go to a store and look for any at this point, none of them are like pointing out to me. And when I was younger, my first decks, the first couple decks were actually given to me as gifts. And I feel like at this point, that's what it's going to take for me, as somebody gifting me the one that I need versus me looking, because I've been looking for so long on finding one that works for me and it just hasn't worked. I think it's because of the other decks that I originally had that's still kind of weighing in on me. And with the Ouija board again, I will never touch a Ouija board again a day in my life. But I stay up to date with like a lot of the paranormal things. I do watch a lot of documentaries when it comes down to like the paranormal and like the hauntings and things like that. So I still kind of keep in on some of it, but like doing the practices, I haven't done in a while, but it's also because of the situation I'm currently in. It's kind of hard for me to do that.
Yeah, it's kind of, I mean, you still kind of have the belief in it. It's like, I don't do as much as I used to do, but this show allows me to stay a little bit more grounded in it. I love being able every week to go out and look and see what's going on in the world and report back on that, especially now that initially, like my whole expertise is ghost hunting, right? My expertise is hauntings and that type of thing. I've helped clients with that. But since starting this show, like I never really got into aliens and UFOs, but once I started my show and doing the research on it, I live for it now. Like I love Skinwalker Ranch. Y'all have heard me talk about it. It is my favorite. I sat down Tuesday night and watched it. The thing that draws me in the most is the scientific technology, because I'm all about the data and proving it and the repetition and the test, right? So like y'all, I get nerded out every time I watch that show. And then I found out about Beyond Skinwalker Ranch and how they take it to other locations and they talk about other things going on in the tie-in. Oh, I could eat science stuff up all day long when it comes to the paranormal.
And see, that's the thing with like a lot of the alien stuff. Some of it even goes into hauntings as well. Some of the stories are intertwined. That's why I said earlier, I feel like all of it combines into one some way or another. So
absolutely, it does. Absolutely. Y'all wait until I think it's next week. We're talking about cryptids. I already started writing the show. I got some stuff that'll blow your mind about cryptids, and we're talking especially about Bigfoot. So it's going to blow your mind. Yeah. I took a twist on Bigfoot for you guys, something that I kind of stumbled across.
I have a friend who hunts, he's been hunting Bigfoot for like almost 5 years now in Washington State. So it's been pretty interesting to watch like some of his stories or see some of his stories.
Well, and it's crazy. Like, you know, you hear about, oh, people have seen Bigfoot, da, 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 da. But then once you start meeting people that are actually into it, right? Yeah. They've actually gone on hunts. It's like people think I'm crazy because I have special equipment when I go out and do, you know, my investigations and stuff. These people have some tech stuff too that's pretty cool, right? Yes. And you start seeing like, you guys, we all learned about how to do scientific things when we were in school. Remember, we had to do the reports and we had to do the hypothesis and all that. It comes back a lot. You do use it again when you get into this field, right? And that's what I live for. Like, how can I prove? I got into it because my dad was coming through to me after he passed, right? So that's how I got into all this. I loved everything about it before that, but I really got into it and became part of the community after my dad passed. I want to know what happens afterwards, right? Why are we so arrogant to think that we are the only people in this entire universe? Now we're talking about aliens. Now we're starting to see, we talked about Arrow earlier in the show. We're starting to see Arrow do some studying. I'm waiting for the government to release the reports. We know we have non-binary, right? Non-human things, right? We've heard David Grush talk about it. We've heard about these congressional hearings talking about it. When are we actually going to get to see the proof?
Yeah, like the lizard people.
Yes, the reptilians. Yeah. Like, when are we going to hear about all of this stuff? Y'all, you know, it's the same thing like a rumor, right? There's always a little bit of truth in every rumor. So there's a little bit of truth in all this stuff. So
that's what I always say is theories, there's always truth to theories, because otherwise they wouldn't be here for us to debunk in the first place. There's always some truth. It's just a matter of navigating it to find the truth and what's the truth in within it.
Well, and if you guys like watching a good show, like I love watching Ancient Aliens. The guy's a little out there that hosted with, the big hair. I can't think of his name right now. But y'all, some of the stuff I've covered on my show, they cover on there and they get deep into some of this stuff. And they go back and they look at cultures and people from many thousands of years ago and some of their writings and some of their things, some of the things that they have scribed onto scrolls into stone. And even back then, they're talking about aliens, right? So
Yes.
there's got to be there have been too many people talking about it. There's got to be some truth behind it.
There's even talks of it in the Bible. If you go back in the Bible, there's talks of skinwalkers, there's talks of the lizard people, there's talks of other things as well. So people just kind of oversee that and overlook it because I don't think they want to believe it. But I mean, the proof is in the pudding.
Well, it's that. And it's like I tell people, we cannot be arrogant enough to think that when God created man, we were the only creature. I tell people, I'm like, how do we know he didn't test, right? How do we know he didn't make these reptilians and
we gotta
make the Nuki and, all of these other alien beings, right?
The other part is people they oversee Adam's first wife. Adam had a wife before Eve.
There's a lot more to it. And you guys, if you really do some digging, there have been some books removed from the Bible. So it's a lot to think about. I could talk about it forever. It's why I love this show. I love doing the research for this show because like your question tonight about Native American hexes, I'm like, heck yeah, let's get into that. I haven't looked into that. Let's talk about it. That's why I'm always like, you guys, when you're a guest on my show, you get the opportunity to ask me questions and I do the digging and I do the research and it comes on. Like I'll present it on the same show that you're on like tonight. So I love digging into that stuff.
I believe in fairies too. I mean,
I haven't gotten into fairies yet. But I put that underneath the cult and they're on my cult list.
Yeah, you should, because there's a lot of research behind that as well. So
definitely got to do that. Yeah. All right, we're coming up on time, so I'm going to have you remind everybody when you stream where they can find you, talk about your auction coming up. If you guys have not fave-saved, unfave me, because you shouldn't even be in here. I'm just saying. Go ahead, take it away.
They're good, Thunder. So I'm Savage. I usually stream late nights, early mornings. I'm more of a sporadic streamer at this point. But I also have an auction coming up on the 28th. I think mine's at 10:30 Eastern time. I'm not sure. It will be linked on my Instagram. My Instagram is linked in the bio, so if you want to go ahead and get a hold of that. And I think that's it for like shows currently. But I'll be on any shows for the most part. You can also find me in all the featured shows. I'm usually in there, or if I'm not, unfortunately, I'm busy at that moment, but I'll be there at some point. So you can always find me in featured shows as well.
We should definitely get you back on. I want to talk about fairies. If you believe in fairies, I want to do some research. Let's talk about fairies for sure.
Yes. She's a stream troll, crazy.
Wow. All right, girl. Well, thanks for being here. Thanks for being in the box. I'm so glad we got to chit chat tonight. We'll have to do some more.
Oh, yes. For sure. Sorry, Thunder. Thanks for reminding me. I'm also an admin for Goop Talk, which is 7 p.m. Eastern on Fridays. If you guys want to be on the show, come and find out about the show. It'd be great. We're trying to make it featured at some point as well. So, yeah,
good.
Get a hold of me or get a hold of Vampy in the comments as well. She's also an admin for the show as well.
We love Vampy. We love Goob. You guys let me know if y'all need any help with that. If y'all need some support from a featured show host, I'm here. Y'all just let me know.
Cool. Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Of course.
All right, you guys. Big thanks to Savage for joining me tonight. Your insights, your energy, and that little peek into your witchy past. Absolutely incredible. The paranormal isn't just about what we witness, you guys. It's also about what we carry with us. And Savage brought the heat tonight. Definitely want to have you on again. Now I got to do some research on fairies, damn it. All right, night crew. It is 11:45, a little after, and we're just getting to the dark heart of tonight's episode. So stretch out, grab a snack, and hydrate if you dare, because coming up next, we're diving into one of the most chilling true crime hauntings in American history, the Lawson family murders. Is PB and Julia in the house? Because she's going to want to hear this one. All right, the answers to paranormal trivia are still on the way, so keep your guesses close and your spirit guides closer. And don't forget, July 7th, the Paranormal Investigators Roundtable is coming. Your questions are what fuel the madness, so send yours in on Instagram. The top 10 will get featured live. All right. Now that we have wrapped up tonight's guest segment, it's time to turn the flashlight toward one of the darkest and most chilling true crime tales in America history. What happened on Christmas Day in 1929 wasn't just a tragedy, it became a haunting that still echoes through North Carolina to this day. We're heading into the twisted and terrifying story of the Lawson family murders, a case full of mystery, folklore, and the lingering question, what could drive a man to murder his entire family right after posing for a holiday portrait? Let's dig into the facts, the folklore, and the chilling aftermath that still leaves people asking, was it madness or something far more sinister? So let me set the scene. It's Christmas Day, 1929, and the Lawson family, Fanny, Charlie, and their 7 children are tucked away on a modest farm in Germantown, North Carolina. The stockings were hung, the kids were dressed to the nines in brand new clothes, and the smell of a holiday feast lingered in the air. Then, gunfire shattered the silence. What unfolded next would leave a permanent scar on the American South. A father's sudden snap, a long-planned slaughter, or something even darker, whispers of incest, possession, and spirits who never left? Tonight, we're pulling back the layers of one of the most infamous and most haunted family tragedies in history, the Lawson family murders. Just a few days before the killings, Charlie Lawson, a quiet tobacco farmer, did something unusual. He took his entire family, wife Fanny, and 7 children ranging from 4 months old to 17 years old into town to buy them all brand new, expensive clothing. Then he had them pose for a professional family portrait, which was a big deal for a working class farm family during the Great Depression. But why the sudden splurge? Was it a Christmas gift or was it a twisted final farewell? Locals remember Charlie acting strange in the weeks leading up to the murders, distant, irritable. One friend said he caught Charlie pacing the barn, muttering to himself. Another claimed that animals wouldn't even go near him. On the surface, though, they were a picture-perfect farm family, but underneath, something was rotting. On December 25th, 1929, Charlie waited until his 2 daughters, Carrie and Mabel, were walking to their aunt's house. He ambushed them with a shotgun behind the tobacco barn, then bludgeoned their skulls to make sure they were dead. He returned to the house, where he shot his wife Fanny on the porch. Then he moved room to room, executing his children. Marie, who was 17, was found by the fireplace. James, age 4, and Raymond, age 2, attempted to hide, but were found by their father. And finally, baby Mary Lou, who was just 4 months old, who was cradled in her crib. This is an actual picture. Each body was carefully posed, arms crossed, heads resting on rocks or pillows. It was deliberate, chilling, ceremonial. Then Charlie walked into the woods with his 2 hunting dogs. Hours later, after the gunshots stopped, neighbors found his body slumped near a tree. In his pocket, letters and notes no one has ever fully revealed. Only fragments were made public. At the time, people blamed it on brain trouble. Charlie had suffered a head injury months earlier while digging a well. A Durham doctor even examined his brain post-mortem, but found no abnormalities. But then the rumor started. In the 1990s, a family friend, Stella Lawson, told researchers that Marie had been pregnant and Charlie was the father. Allegedly, Fanny had confided in friends, and Marie had told Stella that she was terrified her father would do something horrible. That theory, incest and a forced cover-up, has never been officially confirmed, but it's the most haunting motive, and it changes the story entirely. Not just a tragedy, but a slow simmering horror. The Lawson farmhouse stood for decades after the murders, and Charlie's brother Marion turned it into a roadside attraction. He even charged admission. People paid to see where the family died. The bloodstained pillow where Marie fell was left untouched. Over time, paranormal reports trickled in. Guests claimed to hear children crying in empty rooms. Cold spots and phantom footsteps haunted the halls. A woman holding a baby was often seen by the tobacco barn or by the creek, just staring. Some visitors left sick, dizzy, or emotionally drained. One woman swore something invisible grabbed her wrist and whispered, "Don't." The house was eventually torn down, but the gravesite at the edge of a lonely road still draws paranormal investigators. EVPs captured there include a girl whispering, "Marie," a man saying, "I didn't want to," and a child crying, "Mama." Local folklore says if you leave a flower on Marie's grave and return at midnight, you might see her ghost, still wearing the dress from the family portrait. But let's go deeper. Some believe Charlie wasn't mentally ill, but possessed. They point to the ritualistic posing of the bodies, the family portrait, the sudden personality changes, even the fact that the dogs, usually loyal, refused to follow him into the woods that morning. Could a malevolent force have latched onto him? Stokes County has a Native American history, burial sites, and land tied to dark energy legends. Some believe the land itself was cursed, that Charlie didn't just lose his mind, he was claimed. Others suggest it was a generational curse of buildup of guilt, abuse, and secrets passed through bloodlines. And the final act, a spiritual purge of a tainted legacy. And now let's enter Conspiracy Corner. Let's talk theories. Was the Lawson tragedy just the act of a broken man, or was something far stranger at play? Here's what some believe: that Charlie Lawson was possessed by a dark entity that fed off secrecy, shame, and sorrow. That he was silencing a bloodline curse, something old and spiritual, tied to the land or even his ancestry. Or maybe the portrait itself was the trigger, a final snapshot that sealed a ritual he didn't fully understand. Think about it. A father takes his family into town days before the murders, dresses them in funeral-like clothes, captures them in a permanent image, then commits a methodical ceremonial killing. That's not just madness, that's ritualistic. Some say Charlie was dabbling in things he didn't understand. Others say he was being used as a vessel. And then there's the gravest theory of all that he wasn't the first and he won't be the last. So what do you think? Was this a family tragedy or the fulfillment of a curse? Because when secrets go unspoken, the dead start whispering. The Lawson murders are now a Southern Gothic legend. There have been ballads written like The Murder of the Lawson Family, which was recorded in the 1930s. Books have been written about it, including White Christmas, Bloody Christmas, and of course, multiple ghost documentaries and investigations around the site, as well as tours and rituals held at the gravesite. Even now, nearly 100 years later, the story grips people. Maybe because it's not just a haunting, it's a warning about silence, secrets, and what happens when pain festers in the dark. So what really happened in Germantown that Christmas morning? Was Charlie a monster, a victim, a man possessed? Or was it a family crushed under the weight of silence and shame, and now doomed to wander under the veil, waiting for someone to finally tell the truth, the whole truth? Because some spirits don't rest until we do the remembering. All right, now before the spirits get too chatty and while your third eye is still warm, it's time to circle back and reveal the answers to tonight's dream-themed trivia. Whether you nailed them or guessed wildly under pressure, no judgment here. But let's see how tuned in you really were. All right, question number 1. What eerie object did a delivery boy reportedly encounter on Jail Road in Shamla, India, contributing to the area's haunted reputation? That would be a figure dragging chains. Number 2, what is the title of the season 6 premiere episode of The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch that aired June 3rd, 2025? That would be Bubble Trouble. You guys have to watch the episode to understand what they're talking about with the bubble. Number 3, what is the one key feature of Arrow's new case management system for handling UAP reports? It's customizable dashboards. Number 4, who is delivering the keynote address at the 2025 MUFON Symposium? And what is the title of the presentation? The answer is Thomas Jane, presenting Forbidden Planet. Number 5, what is the phenomena where humans perceive familiar patterns like faces or words in random noise called? The answer, pareidolia. This is the tendency to see meaningful patterns like faces or words in random stimuli, especially common with spirit boxes and photo evidence. Number 6, what percentage of orb photos are believed to be caused by dust, bugs, or camera artifacts? 98%. Most orb photos have natural explanations. Only a very small percentage are considered possibly paranormal. Number 7, what unusual thing did Charlie Lawson do shortly before murdering his own family? The answer? He took them to town for a family portrait. Many believe this chilling photo served as a final haunting ritual, capturing his victims before they act. Number 8, which family member was not at the house during the murders and survived? The answer? Their oldest son, Arthur. He had been sent on an errand into town, and some believe intentionally spared. Number 9, what is Savage's favorite paranormal area? The answer? All of them. And number 10, what is one thing you probably didn't know about Savage? She used to practice and study witchcraft and other things in the paranormal realm. And that wraps up tonight's Paranormal Trivia Challenge. From ghostly figures dragging chains to futuristic UFO tracking systems and a Hollywood name shaking up the MUFON on stage, these questions weren't just for kicks. They were a full-on test of your third eye and your memory. All right, let's land the scare ship. Tonight, we dove into curses, cleansing, and the fine line between folklore and fear. From debunking misconceptions about Native American hexes to sharing tools of protection and empowerment, we reminded ourselves that not all darkness is evil, and not every story told is the full truth. In the paranormal world, knowledge is power, and protection starts with understanding. Massive thanks to my guest Savage, bringing her fire and fearless curiosity to the show. From her love of all things paranormal to her background in witchcraft, she reminded us just how deep this rabbit hole goes. And to all of you, my bouncers, gifters, the Ride or Die Night crew, thank you for showing up and showing out. Let's give one last shout out to our top 3 gifters for the night. Number 3 is Mikey, number 2 is Black Widow, and number 1 is Mikey and CJ. You guys, thanks for the gifts tonight. Thanks for the faves as well. Make sure you're favoriting all the gifters. Show some love and keep that energy high until next week. And don't forget, mark your calendars. July 7th is creeping up fast, and so is the Paranormal Investigators Roundtable. Got a burning question for the pros? DM me on IG before they disappear into the ether. The top 10 will be featured live. And next Sunday, we're trading curses for cryptids, the elusive, the bizarre, and the flat-out unexplainable. I'll be joined by the always entertaining Para and Crazy Lisa as we chase creatures lurking just beyond the edges of folklore. It's going to get wild, but thanks for now, and thanks for venturing with me into the unknown. Keep your senses sharp, your flashlight close, and your curiosity wide open. Sleep tight, dream strange, and remember, when the shadows whisper, Kraken's already listening.
Thank you for daring to come into the unknown with me tonight. I really appreciate your gifts, but what means the most to me is your being here and showing your support. If you would like to be on the show, send me a message on IG. The link is in my bio. Please stay for the after show segment as I spend the next 30 minutes continuing to talk about what we covered in the show and answering any questions you may have regarding the paranormal field. I hope to see you all again next Sunday at 11 p.m. Eastern, where we will go back into the unknown. Have a great night and enjoy your week.